Hello and welcome to Joy News Today. I am Emefa Akosia Adati. The bulletin is live from our studios here in Kokomlemle and also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. Coming up this hour, mixed reactions by residents of Kumasi after Energy Minister John Jenapo assures they were fixing unstable power supply. We'll also tell you about the current energy situation as at least 5 power plants are down. And also, National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons to deploy weapon detectors to Bawku and other conflict zones to disarm criminals following death of a military officer.
Promised that they are going to be equipping us with more of this weapon detection system. They are very expensive, but we have one that was donated to us by the German government.
And in our Ghana Month series, we'll tell you about Fort Fredericksburg in the Western region and how a local merchant defeated the Germans and took control of the fort.
So in Fredericksburg was a German fort built by the Bredenbergers. So in around 1680, the German, they used to call them the Bredenbergers. They formed a company and decided to compete in Africa, particularly against Dutch and English.
We have business, sports and showbiz. Do stay for details. Many thanks for your company. First, the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons says it will deploy weapon detection system to conflict areas to reduce arm proliferation. It comes on the back of the killing of a military officer in Bawku on Monday. Acting Executive Secretary of the Commission, Dr. Adam Bona, says disarming such persons will reduce conflict and crimes in the country. He says the deployment of the detectors will be done in no time.
We are the only organization in the country that has a weapons detection system, scanner. This system detects only weapons. So you can actually bury a weapon in the soil, deep down the soil, and it will pick it. It won't pick anything, just a weapon. We are the only organization that has this particular equipment. And if you have heard my minister speak in some of his, statements, he has promised, and the president has promised, that they are going to be equipping us with more of this weapon detection systems. They are very expensive, but we have one that was donated to us by the German government. And so one of the things we are doing is to operationalize our activities. And so it shouldn't take too long. You are going to see us on your streets. You are going to see us in your backyard with our weapon detection system, scanning areas or scanning vehicles to be able to pick up weapons that are hidden in vehicles. The usual scanner, metal scanner, cannot detect a weapon, but this only detects a weapon. And so if you had a weapon here, in this building, in this hotel, wherever this weapon is, the system is able to detect it. And we are the only organization in the country that has it. Through the German government, we have it.
Now let's get updates on the situation in Bawku from our correspondent Albert. Albert, what's the latest on the military man who was shot dead by unidentified men in Bawku?
So the Ghana Armed Forces, to a very large extent, are keeping this under wraps for now. They are not giving us any information regarding what they are doing and exactly how this incident happened. What we have managed to gather on the ground and from some of our sources within the security apparatus is that most likely this officer may have been mistaken for someone else because some of our sources say that at the time the incident happened, he was not in uniform and he was taking a stroll, or he was walking somewhere on foot. when he was targeted and shot at. And so this is what we know of the incident for now. Yesterday, when it happened, the citizens, some of the residents in Bawku had fears that the military may storm the town in attempt to try and fish out the culprits. And so there was a bit of tension, but nothing of the sort took place yesterday. This morning, things seem to have returned to normal. But apart from that, we don't have much information, particularly from the Ghana Armed Forces, as far as this incident is concerned.
So, Albert, what we don't know as well is that it's linked to the tribal conflicts in Bawku. This is just what, that they mistook him for somebody else and then they shot at him, or what?
Yes, so if you recall, sometime last month, there was a killing in one of the suburbs of Bawku, where a woman and her two daughters were murdered. And the citizens were alleging that the person who carried out this act was a man in military uniform. Till date, there hasn't been any concrete proof of that. But ever since that incident, the relationship between some of the citizens and the military soured from there. There were some who were even bold enough to say that they didn't want the soldiers in the town anymore. But as far as this incident is concerned, because of the conflict, what tends to happen is that the factions target each other, and when you are in enemy territory, or if you find yourself in a place where your enemy can take your life, basically, they won't hesitate to do so. Now, because this soldier was on foot, and from the little that we have gathered, he wasn't in his military uniform.
Right.
Some say that it could be because the people who shot at him thought he was part of the enemy or the people that they are fighting against, and this may have been the reason that he was shot. But it could also be because of the sort of animosity that has existed between some of the citizens and the military, because of the constant accusations that the military are brutalizing people, and sometimes the citizens even accuse them of killing innocent civilians. This could also be linked to that. But as I said, because we haven't had any official response from the Ghana Armed Forces, we can't really put a finger to it as to exactly why the soldier was killed.
That's very clear, Albert. Thank you for bringing us the current update. But we also have Mutara Momoni Mutar, Executive Director for West African Center for Extremism. Now, thank you for joining us this afternoon. But before I even go to the deployment of weapon detectors by Dr. Adam Bona, who heads that department, I'm quite curious about the killing of this military person on the entire conflict that's happening in Bawku. What does this mean to the existing conflict in Bawku?
Well, this is another incident, another layer that complicates and worsens the relationship between local residents or the people of Bawku and the military security forces in there. The role of the military or security forces, of course, is to ensure stability and provide an environment that allows, engagement to take place in terms of towards peace in the area. And so this element should not, under any circumstance, be involved as casualties or parties to the conflict, in Bawku. And so it's a very unfortunate situation that we continue to have, fatalities involving the security forces. That complicates the situation in terms of the ability to serve as legitimate actors and, actors that command goodwill and support from the local population. And it makes generally the entire conflict, a complex situation.
Well, Mutar, and so this deployment, the weapon detection deployment that they want to do, what does it really mean? Will it matter in the scheme of affairs in terms of security?
Of course, the weapon detection system or operations that are being talked about of course, is an important element in terms of seeking to disarm, I consider what we call disarmament, and ensuring that people who are armed, do not have the capability to use arms in this conflict. If you notice, throughout the conflict cycle, the source of violence and fatalities is through the use of weapons, it's through the use of gunshots. And so your capacity to disable individuals and immobilize them in terms of their capacity to use weapons or have access to weapons is a very important single step that can significantly change the outcomes of efforts in dealing with the Bawku situation. But of course, the operational details are more complex than just deploying weapons detection system. Okay. It's a very complex and expensive exercise that needs a lot of logistical preparation to get that underway. And we are hoping that this would be done and hopefully would contribute positively to efforts in the Bawku situation.
But Mutag, just some education before I let you go. If the weapons that persons who are perceived to be owned in that enclave are not registered, can these weapon detectors detect them at all?
The weapons detection system, those with advanced features and capabilities, will detect weapons irrespective of whether they were registered here or not, or registered at all. And so its ability to roll out that kind of program that ensures that it covers the entirety of the area that you're looking at. And then there are many it could be certain checkpoints that allow that to happen. It could also be in the form of operational within the homes of individuals in the Bawku area. And so it depends on what kind of system and approach that is being adopted by the Small Arms and Light Weapons Commission.
Well, thank you. We'll come back to you, especially when we understand the mechanics.
But let me add this. Yes, let me add this element to it. Already, there are many people that are being deployed in the Bawku area. And we are talking about the use of drones and surveillance technology in terms of detecting and ensuring that we reduce the amount of weapons in the system. So this, from Small Arms, would be another layer, another addition that could help in terms of, taking a lot more arms from the area.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for this education. Mutari Mokhtar Munini is for the Africa Counter-Extremism Center. But moving away from that, let me take you to the courts. Now, the criminal jurisdiction of the High Court in Accra has acquitted and discharged Oliver Baka-Vomowo, a social activist who was standing trial for treason. Mr. Baka-Vomowo was charged with treason in 2022 when he was picked by national security operatives by threatening a coup if Parliament went ahead to pass a controversial e-levy bill. His detention and the charges leveled against him sparked widespread public debate and condemnation from civil society groups amid concern over free speech in Ghana. Now, legal affairs correspondent Lateef Idris joins us with updates. Lateef, when did this happen and what has been his reaction so far?
Well, let me first. So this official discharge of Oliver Baka-Vomowo happened about 25 minutes ago here at the High Court. But I must say that the accused person himself and his legal team were not present in court when the case was called. And in fact, they've not been seen here at the court premises or anywhere close to the court. So they didn't show up, but because a nolle prosequi has been officially been given by the Attorney General, Dominic Ayine, the judge went ahead to discharge the accused. This whole thing we all know started back in 2022 when Oliver Baka-Vomowo was arrested at the Kotoka International Airport upon his arrival from the United Kingdom. And like you said in your intro, he had made some comments on social media about staging a coup if e-levy was passed. We all know e-levy subsequently was passed. He was taken to the Shaman District Court where he was denied bail and then transferred to this particular court. Now today, MFA, what was expected to have happened here was that the trial judge was to oversee the empaneling of the juror that would have overseen the trial itself proper.
Right.
So that was what was slated for today. But then we all know what had happened with the amnesty that has been granted by the new Attorney General. And Oliver Baka-Vomowo is one of the few individuals who has benefited from the amnesty of the Attorney General. In fact, he has benefited twice from the Democracy Hub protest. He benefited and today he's become yet again another beneficiary of the amnesty of the Attorney General. He is today walking free. And
Was he in
brings
court?
to an end a trial that has traveled for a little over 2 years since his arrest at the Kotoka International Airport.
But you can confirm that he wasn't in court, despite his legal representatives as well not in court. He himself was not in court as well.
Yes, Oliver Barker-Vormawor was not in court, but we saw some individuals who belong to the Democracy Hub group. They showed up in court just some few hours before the case was called. And then even before the case was called, they also moved away. I'm sure they got a signal from somewhere that maybe Oliver wasn't going to show up in court. So they also made their way back to their various businesses, if you like.
Lateef, thank you for that update. Away from the coast, let's go to the Ashanti region, where residents in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, who have endured irregular power supply for some weeks, say they eagerly await an immediate and permanent solution to the situation, following an assurance by Minister of Energy John Jinapor. The residents have asked for a load-shedding timetable, but after touring the area on Monday, however, Mr. Jinapor ruled out load-shedding, insisting the country is currently generating enough power to meet both domestic and external demands.
I'm happy to announce that so far the supply situation has been stable and we are able to export some excess amount of power. But there's still more work to be done. Beyond generating the power, you have to evacuate it, you have to transmit it, and you have to distribute it. And so we are working around the clock to ensure that we address this challenge and ultimately ensure that we have very, very reliable supply and delivery of power.
Emmanuel Bright-Kweku joins us with updates from the Ashanti regional capital. Emmanuel, and so the minister has constantly said that as a country we will not need load shedding, but it tells me that in Kumasi, looks like residents are insisting on load shedding. Do we have any updates as to why they still have irregular power supply?
So MFA, as it stands now, we do not have the updates on whether there is a load shedding timetable that is the residents are demanding for, whether there would be a load shedding timetable for them. Because we know the minister came here yesterday and he has assured even the country, the Asantehene himself, he went to the Menchia Palace where he assured the Asantehene that we are not shedding load, but actually we've been able, as a country, we've been able to generate enough to even export to neighboring countries like Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso and Niger. And so he says that there is no load shedding as of now. But the situation here in the Ashanti region stems from the transmission of the power from the Gridco end into the Ashanti region. So on Sunday, we had some issues in the Ashanti region where major parts of the greater Kumasi metropolis were experiencing intermittent power cuts. If I would say experience intermittent power cuts, within some 5 minutes, you expect your lights to be on, and then the next 5 minutes, it goes on and off. But they tell us that it's not about load shedding, but it's really about a jumper fault that was coming from the Ghana Grid Company, that's Gridco, and that's why they were experiencing that. And so when the minister came here yesterday, he assured that there's no load shedding, but the citizens or residents here in the Ashanti region now hoping that once the minister has said these words, they are hoping he would keep to his words and ensure that power supply is made available constantly, because some of the residents here are telling us their businesses are being affected. One, I would recall, says he is into shito production. And so once the shito ends up in the reservoir at his hub, they cannot do anything but allow it to spoil, because once there is no light, they cannot retrieve the shito from it. So it's really affecting businesses here in the Ashanti region. You talk of the barbering shop, the salons, we're talking about printing presses and others. They hope that the power will be stable in the coming days or even weeks once they have the assurance from the energy minister.
But since after his visit to the Ashanti region, especially the regional capital, are the residents seem to be calm or not?
Once the minister has come, they are just insisting that he would keep to his word. I'm saying, insisting that there is no doomsday as of now. And so the tempers are a bit calmer, but as the days go by and then they get to experience these power outages again, the concerns will come up again. So since the minister came for today, it's a bit calmer. But in the subsequent days, should we experience any power outages, and the residents will definitely come out and then talk more.
But Emmanuel, remove your Joy News jacket and tell me, you're a resident of Kumasi. Are you experiencing any power fluctuations at all? Maybe your family, your friends?
I can tell you that it's really affecting us.
Okay.
I think on Sunday, Nana Boachi was complaining even about his fridge getting spoiled because the power kept going on and off. And so the things he had in stock, he was complaining about bananas, some fruits that he had, some meat that he had stocked in the fridge. He was saying that they are getting spoiled. Well, personally, I had my share of the power fluctuation on Sunday around 6 p.m. and the lights came back around 12 p.m. and that's 12 a.m. That's when I had to wake up and then iron my stuff. And so it's quite challenging for us here in the Ashanti region. We're hoping that the power situation will be resolved and everything will be back to normal. MFR.
Emmanuel, it looks like you didn't have to remove your Joy News jacket at all. You still wear it because it affects you all around. But thank you for bringing us that update from the Ashanti region. Now, in studio as well is Kofi Ajay, Isaac Kofi Ajay, who is lead research and data analyst here with Joy News. I'd want us to situate this power situation a lot better. Maybe it's happening in the Ashanti region, Kofi. Maybe it's trotting, it's coming to Accra. What is the real situation with the power crisis?
I think it's not just the Ashanti region, because certain areas in Accra are also experiencing power cuts and let me say what they call the low currents. For instance, in the Teshinungwa estate, for instance, you have the low currents going on and then also power outages. I think place around Spintex and also Manette area, you also have same situation there. So it is not Kumasi alone, but I think parts of Accra are also experiencing the current situation that we are facing. But what we are learning as we decided to check what is actually going on is the fact that there are about 5 power plants that are currently down. I can talk of the T3 power plant, which has not been producing for a long time. Siemens has also been down, but the big ones are Senate, which is about, some 110 megawatts of power, is down at the moment. It's not been producing for the past 15 days.
Right.
You talk about Amandi, one big power plant, that's about 210 megawatts, hasn't been producing since for the past 61 days. Amandi has been absent. And then also there is the Bawku thermal plant, which has also not been producing. If you add all of this, we are talking about more than 500 megawatts of power that is currently not available in terms of our capacity that's gone at the moment, not producing, not on stream at the moment. And so you have to do the load shed. And we understand that the part of the country that has actually been hit by this is the Ashanti region. So as we speak, per the data that we have, about 5 power plants are currently not working or are currently not on stream.
This will be mechanical challenge or because of the obvious reasons?
I mean, when we listened to the energy minister, he was very categorical that some of these situations are as a result of faults and maintenance.
Okay.
Possibly that's the reason why we are having this. But we also know that one of the biggest challenge has been buying fuel to power some of these power plants. Not just some of the power plant being down, but if you look at a power plant like AXA, which is able to produce more than 300 megawatts, it is currently producing just about 12 megawatts, producing significantly below its capacity. The question is, what is wrong with AXA, for instance? Is it maintenance issue or is fuel supply? So some of these questions must be possibly answered. But what we understand is that it's a combination, it's actually a cocktail of different factors causing the current situation that we are facing in the country. But for me, I think that the biggest challenge has been the fuel supply, which we know that WAPCO, for instance, is demanding. They just finished a pigging exercise. Definitely, they spent a lot of money to do that. And so if you are their client and you're owing them, they will come after you demanding for their money before they will do their part of the bargain. But what we understand is that in the entire 2025, we know the country needs about $1.23 billion to buy, fuel. And the finance minister was right that if you look at the rest of the year, or I think it was the energy minister, we need close to about 700 million to buy fuel. And so it's actually a cocktail of factors at the moment.
But do we know how much they were owed, the IPPs are owed? Do you know how much?
That's huge. That's huge. About $1.73 billion is what the country owes the independent power producers, which many have refused the debt restructuring. Many have decided not to take the haircut that was actually initiated by the former administration. But what we understand is that, I mean, when the president took over the IPPs, the energy sector was one of the first groups he met to kind of, you know, have a way around this whole big problem, because we need them. They actually constitute about 60% of the country's dependable capacity at the moment. And so IPPs, we can definitely not do away with them. But
quickly, before I let you go, Kofi, how do I explain to my 15-year-old cousin or brother watching that the minister says we have enough power, and yet there's power fluctuations, and says that we can even export to neighboring countries? How does that work?
I mean, it's actually the demand, right? So if you say you have enough power, it could be the capacity. You can actually produce, right? But there's dependable capacity and then also available capacity. So at the moment, I think the biggest problem is the dependable ones. As for the exportation of power, the export of power, you definitely would have to do, because it is an arrangement with your neighbors. To keep good neighborliness, you still have to go ahead and do it. In times where we face difficult power situations, we're still exporting. Yeah, we're still exporting to Burkina Faso, and that's something that we need to keep up to. But some of the plants may be good to produce today, but definitely the next few hours or 3 hours, you can have them having certain, you know, faults and maintenance issues, and those are some of the issues that, or factors that may cause us to produce or generate below our capacity at the moment. And so we may have more power, but maybe the dependable capacity at the moment is what we are not able to. And also demand and supply situation at the moment can play a huge role.
Mr. J, thank you so much for joining me today. Now, away from that, a non-profit organization, Sonla Foundation, is seeking to improve healthcare delivery in the Savannah region with the construction of a multi-purpose hospital project for residents of Bumprugwa and its surrounding areas in the Swala Tuna Kalba districts. CEO of Sonla Foundation, Dr. Joseph Sonla, explained that the project aligns with efforts to enhance healthcare infrastructure and contribute to Ghana's universal healthcare coverage. Savannah regional correspondent Isaac Nonya reports.
Okay.
The communities around the project site, including Nofitim, Tisontem, Barbe, Pimbro, Sabatem, Dakumplatem, and indeed all the foundation membership has made commitment to take care of the labor cost through shared communal labor. I know His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has vested interest in health. Thus, the Mahama Care. I humbly submit to him through the Savannah Regional Minister and the Honorable MP for Solatuna Kaba to convey to him the cry of his sons and daughters, and that he should kindly extend the tentacles of the Mahama Care Fund to help complete this community-based initiated project.
The Savannah Regional Minister, Sualisube Aurebe, commended the initiative, pledging government partnership to ensure the hospital brings essential healthcare services closer to the people. He also assured the foundation that the facility will be integrated into Ghana's National Health Service Scheme upon completion, making healthcare more accessible and affordable.
That I would encourage the foundation to link up with the Ghana Health Service and with the Regional Coordinating Council for us to be able to see, upon completion of it, how we can enter into a joint partnership management of such a facility. There are several examples of government, private sector management of health facilities to which the staff will be paid by central government and the monitoring and management will be made by the institution concerned. This is the best and most effective way, especially as it's going to be located in a hard-to-reach area and a deprived background, whereby the cost of some services cannot be borne fully by our own people because of our economic situation. We are equally happy, and I want to give my assurance that if a facility is completed, we would network with you to make sure that the facility is also taking health insurance and to be registered among the health insurance beneficiary communities or their facilities.
Now, Ghana is home to 32 forts and castles. One of them, Fort Fredericksburg in the Western region, holds a remarkable story. A local merchant, John Coney, attacked and captured the fort, an act of bravery still celebrated in the Caribbean today. As part of our Ghana Month series, Kojo Yangson sits with Western Regional Director of the Museums and Monuments Board, Kwesi Blankson, for an insightful history lesson.
Fredericksburg was a German fort built by the Bredenbergers. So in around 1680, the German, they used to call them the Bredenbergers. They formed a company and decided to compete in Africa, particularly against Dutch and English. In 1630, they sent an emissary to the king of, they call it Pekusu, who was the king of the area, to seek property for this. And they signed an agreement with the local people. And in the agreement, it was agreed that now nobody from the village should be sold as a slave. So that is how come they got the permission to build this fort here. When they were here, trade was very good. They recruited a local merchant, they call him John Coney, to be their ambassador or their factor, as they call it. So he established links with Asen, Wasa, Ashanti to direct traders to this fort. So it was very, very lucrative, of course, and sometimes even lower than other forts. So they saw a lot of ships here in trading, even against Elmina and Cape Coast, just as compared to them. And so when they tried to sell the fort to the Dutch, the Bredenbergers did not inform John Coney, which infuriated him greatly. So he staged a coup and attacked the fort and captured it.
Wow.
Yes.
So locals, Ghanaians.
Yeah, John Coney captured this fort,
Fredericksburg
fort. And traded with, just like Asamani in Christiansburg, traded with the Europeans here at cutthroat price, even reducing some of them as low as 20% lower than what they had in Cape Coast and Elmina. So it attracted a lot of merchants. Then the Dutch realized, no, this guy is disturbing us. So they sent an army, a group, to come and take up the fort. The captain Van Hoven was the leader, and for 3 days they bombarded this fort from the ocean, and about 120 men landed on the coast to take over. That was when John Coney also opened fire. Bang, 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 bang. Killed most of them. It said that about 35 only survived out of the 120 people, men that landed here, and managed to swim back to their boats and then eventually left. And that victory of John Coney just reverberated throughout the Caribbean, especially among the Dutch colonies. And so it is celebrated every year. Yes, in what has become as the John Canoe Festival. You know, it's an international festival. You can Google it and look for it.
John Coney Festival.
John Coney. Now they call it John Canoe, C-A-N-O, like canoe.
Oh,
John
right.
Canoe.
Okay.
John Coney can also come up with it. So John Coney's Festival, it is celebrated in the Caribbean. And so when the Sierra Leone was established and free slaves were brought in here, they also brought the festival. And you know the drum they call djembe? Djembe, that is the drum that was used in the celebration. So they came up with it and also started the celebration in Sierra Leone. Are you familiar with the image of a Rasta man playing djembe and then some people dancing? It's a common image. They use it. They've made cloth out of it, curtains, calendars out of it. It's like a Rasta man playing djembe, and then you can see somebody like this, somebody like this. You know, it's like more. That is the festival. That's the djembe.
You're watching News Today with me, Emefa Akosua-Adetey. We go for a quick break. When we come back, Daryl Kwao will bring you business. Please stay.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. Energy Minister John Jinapor has ruled out load shedding despite incessant power outages in some parts of the country, especially in the Ashanti region. He insists the country generates enough power to meet both domestic and external demands. Though Mr. Jinapor is unable to reveal how much is generated to meet local consumption, he told the Asantehene the country exports power to Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso and Togo. Ohimteria has more.
In recent times, parts of the country have been experiencing intermittent power cuts to the dissatisfaction of consumers, especially businesses. Energy and Green Innovations Minister John Jinapor, during a day's tour of the power enclave in Kumasi, told the Asante Mine Council meeting that Ghana is able to generate enough power to meet local consumption and for exports. The meeting was chaired by the Asantehene, Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II.
We are not shedding load. In fact, Mankania no, Yanyakura Manabroso Kakra, Ama Yadibiko Burkina, Yadibiko Cote d'Ivoire, Yadibiko Togo, Niakoton, Enyamfaso Kakra Diaba. Nti, Madama, problem ni ho. Niaye share a distribution no. Nana Wadama, we have a Bronibeka said we have enough generation to meet demand.
Ashanti region is one of the regions hardest hit by the incessant power outages. There are ongoing power infrastructure projects which include the installation of additional power plants by AXA and Senate Energy to complement the already relocated Ameri power plant. Mr. Jinapor says the completion of the projects will inject more supply points in the Ashanti region to support export of megawatts of power abroad.
I'm happy to announce that so far the supply situation has been stable and we are able to export some excess amount of power. But there's still more work to be done. Beyond generating the power, you have to evacuate it, you have to transmit it, and you have to distribute it. And so we are working around the clock to ensure that we address this challenge and ultimately ensure that we have very, very reliable supply and delivery of power.
The minister, who was in the region to inspect ongoing key power infrastructure projects, including Gridco's newly installed 145 MVA transformer and a new power enclave, was accompanied by the Ashanti Regional Minister, Frank Amoakohene, heads of the Volta River Authority, Electricity Company of Ghana and the Ghana Grid Company. For Joy Business Report, Ohimenteria reporting.
Now, Minister of Works, Housing and Water Resources Kenneth Gilbert Ejay has urged the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association to provide practical solutions by leveraging alternatives to building technologies and reducing the cost of building. He also called on the association to explore financing needs to help middle-income earners acquire affordable homes. Ejay was speaking at a breakfast meeting organized by the association.
The Minister for Works, Housing and Water Resources at the breakfast meeting urged Greta to explore new investment models such as public-private partnerships and rent-to-own schemes to make home ownership more accessible. He also encouraged members of the association to collaborate with the government in enforcing the Real Estate Agency Act of 2022.
I would like to emphasize the indispensable role that Greta and its Executive Council will play in advancing the real estate sector in Ghana. Your institution is positioned to serve as a pillar in addressing concerns about quality standards, affordability, and the optimal use of government policies to support housing development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the real estate sector is a key driver of economic growth and development in Ghana. The sector provides shelter, creates employment, and generates business opportunities for millions of people.
The Ghana Real Estate Developers Association swore in a new executive council to provide practical solutions to the industry's challenges and make housing more affordable. Newly elected GREDA President Dr. James Ollins Lindsay pledged to drive an aggressive membership campaign, strengthen advocacy, promote research and innovation.
Affordable is affordable. As long as cost of borrowing is.
All right, and there's more coming up on the marketplace. Sports is up next on Joy News Today.
Among other things.
Let's bring sports now on Joy News Today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. 9 players reported to the Black Stars camp on Monday to start preparations for the World Cup qualifier against Chad. That will be happening on Friday. The rest of the players are expected to arrive in camp later today, and they will continue with their training session to later this evening at the Accra Sports Stadium. My colleague, Joseph Ayunga Walter, was at the Accra Sports Stadium on Monday for their first training session of the team, and he has details in this report.
Out of 26 players, only 9 Black Stars players were present here at the Accra Sports Stadium for their first training session ahead of their crucial World Cup qualifier against Chad and Madagascar. Now, those in attendance included Kamaldeen Sulemana, Mohamed Salisu, Gideon Mensah, Benjamin Asari, Kamaradini Mamudu, and among others. Head coach Otuado and technical advisor Winfred Scaffer and assistant head coach Desmond Ofer supervised training. The rest of the players are expected to be in camp tomorrow, with Utuado hopeful of having a full house for training session tomorrow. Some fans expressed their delightment and satisfaction without things at turnout and are hopeful that Black Stars delivers come Friday.
Once we have the same points as Comoros, it's just a matter of goal difference. We need to beat Chad by more than 3 goals, beat Madagascar by 2 goals, and I think we'll top the table. So I think the chances of Ghana qualifying for the World Cup is quite high, and I hope that this team, with the new year, there will be a fresh leaf, a new page, and then we'll see an improved performance from the coach. I want to see what Coach Desmond Ofer has to offer to the technical team. I want to see what the new technical advisor Winfred Schaefer has to offer. So I think it's interesting what we are seeing. It's only early days yet. The match day will determine the verdict.
What I'm expecting from Black Stars this coming Friday is nothing but win, because my area, Nigerians are really laughing at us, making fans of us, making very fun of us. So we want win, but nothing. And then the lineup to me alone as a person, I was expecting to still see this Midday Ayew. People have been talking that Midday is old, he's weak, but he's still calling at his team. Midday is calling over there. I don't know why people are saying that Midday, because the experience he has, Midday should have been fixed in this match to help us to qualify.
I'm a little bit disappointed because I think I've heard that a lot of players have arrived. So I'm even shocked that we are seeing like 4 or 5 players training today.
Anthony Bafo, who is a former Deputy General Secretary at CAF in charge of competitions, has called on the National Sports Authority and the Ghana Football Association to ensure that there's the needed security for Ghana Premier League matches. Speaking at the Joy Sports National Sports Dialogue, he admonished the 2 institutions to ensure that the lives of spectators and footballers are guaranteed.
You see, when I work, they call me no-nonsense. And these are the things we always take personal. But there's nothing personal when we work, because we want to do the best and have the best for the country. So what does it need? A strong leadership and decision-making skills, experience in sports and facility management. There are a lot of young guys who are here who have studied sports management, strategic management. Involve them. Knowledge of stadium operations and event planning, financial budget management competence, safety and security awareness, ability to manage staff and coordinate departments, strong communication and public relations skills, technical knowledge of infrastructure and maintenance, compliance with regulatory and sports policies, crisis management and emergency response training. If I speak about crisis management, I don't think we think about crisis. One thing I've learned in Germany is always to think about the aftermath, positive or negative. In Germany, we always said before the game is after the game, and after the game is before the game. Sometimes when we come into the Accra Sports Stadium, we see the VIP, thousands of cars in front. So when there's an evacuation, it's going to be catastrophic. But in Ghana, we always say, "Ebeye, nyame wo."
That is your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com.
Hello there, good afternoon. You're welcome to the Showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline and Suma Yeboah. So first story for today. When it comes to gospel music, Ghana might just be leading the choir. Nigerian gospel singer Peter has given Ghana its flowers, praising the country for showing more love to gospel music than his home country, Nigeria.
In an interview with Doreen Avia on Daybreak Hit, Peter shared his thoughts on the gospel music scene, saying Ghana offers a more supportive environment for gospel artists. According to him, the reception and encouragement gospel musicians receive in Ghana make it a great place for the genre to thrive. But he didn't stop at praise. He also called on gospel artists and Christians in the creative space to step up their game and find better ways to improve their craft.
And that's one of the things I love about Ghana.
Yeah.
Ghana has, like, you ain't coming to Ghana, you say Ghana is a country that really supports the gospel.
Hey, wait till we know the see for this Ghana inside.
Yeah.
When you people come, you tell us that it is nice, it is good. There's this we are not seeing.
As I'll tell you what. So in Nigeria, it's a little bit difficult to get corporate sponsorship for gospel stuff because they keep saying, "Oh, it's a secular nation. We don't do this. It's a corporate brand. We don't want to put our names to religious stuff." But here, I see some brands put their names to gospel stuff.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. So for us in the gospel space in Nigeria, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Like I see Christian stations here, TV stations playing steady. In Nigeria, it's not as easy because they say, "Oh, it's a secular nation." There's some. So you have Christian radio stations. You have radio stations that would come. You guys play Christian music throughout the day.
Yes,
Nigeria is on Sunday. You wait for Sunday. and some stations, like, they can't wait. Like, once they play your music from 6 a.m., 8 o'clock, like, their body shaking, they want to start playing their...
So what do you think? Does Ghana really have a more supportive gospel music culture than Nigeria? For Joy News, I'm Jacqueline Ansama Yeboah.
I just wonder why you love me so. And tell me why you never let me go.
When we talk about Ghanaian food, the usual suspects always pop up: jollof, wache, curry and beans, popularly known as gobe, fufu and kenke. But Ghana's food scene is much bigger than that. In the spirit of Ghana Month, let's take a delicious detour and explore some hidden culinary gems that deserve a spot on your plate.
First up, wasa wasa, a dark-bone dish made from dried yam peels, ground onto flour and steamed. Think of it as wache's northern cousin, best served with spicy sauces, beans, shea butter and salad. For the Gadangbe people, apapransa is a festival favorite. Roasted corn flour meets palm nut soup in this thick, flavor-packed dish, usually paired with seafood like crabs or salmon. Had my fair share during the Taste 68 event.
This is apapransa. I haven't tasted some before. So something little.
Is it cobra you are cooking?
So let me have a taste.
Is it cobra smoothie? Bloggers, keep space so that the judges can watch.
Craving something plant-based, Tubani is a steamed bean pudding often wrapped in fragments, cotton-fed leaves and served with suya spice and fried onions. A simple but satisfying meal. Seafood lovers, meet akpadechi, an Ewa-style tilapia soup with bold, spicy flavors. Pair it with akpale for the full experience. And there is a sacred dish turned celebration staple. Mashed yam or plantain mixed with palm oil, topped with eggs and peanuts, perfect for special occasions and rites. For the sweet tooth, tatale is Ghana's answer to pancakes. Made from mashed ripe plantains with corn flour and spices, is best enjoyed with bean stew. Ghanaian food is more than just a popular hit. It's a whole playlist of flavors waiting to be explored. Which of these underrated delights are you excited to try? For Joy News, I'm Jacqueline Ansama Yaboa.
On that note, it's a wrap for the showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline Ansama Yaboa. Over to you, Emefa Akosia Adeti.
Beautiful, Jackie. So on this detour, this food detour that you were on, let's stop in Kwewu, your homeland.
I mean, my favorite is popular, fufu and ebunebunu with a wow and a whole lot. You've taken that before, right?
Yes, I have.
The green soup with mushroom, with tilapia and all those, with snails.
Animal cruelty. Anyway, so again, that's where you come from.
Yeah, that's where I come from. My food.
Definitely.
So Friday, I promise to share with you more on Kwewu.
Thank you so much for watching today. For more news, do log on to my Joy online.com.